Welcome to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. I'm Jemma Gofton with another edition of the programme that aims to make your next cruise or holiday as problem-free and relaxing as possible. So if you have a holiday, cruise or travel-related question, here's how to get in touch. Okay, you can search for us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for the Holiday and Cruise channel. You can send in your questions on our website to www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, or what about writing to us at the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool, L22 5NG. Now, in today's programme, we're discussing river cruise holidays. Have you ever wanted to set sail down the Rhine or up the Danube, take a beautiful trip down the Moselle, or enjoy a leisurely trip down the Main, with breathtaking views from the comfort of a view cabin or on the top deck, passing historic cities, traditional towns and quaint villages? Well, here to tell us more about luxury river cruising is Kathryn Coles from Tauck River Cruises. I have to always just check I got the name right, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Perfect.
Such a good pronunciation.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for coming back in. It's always a pleasure. I'm going to start off with, what are the key differences between river and ocean cruising?
Well, they really are two different style of holidays. I mean, ocean cruising these days, you've got some vessels which take, 5,000 passengers, and they're more like floating resorts, so they have their own facilities on board, and a lot of the time in ocean cruising in particular, you'll spend a lot of time at sea as well. With river cruising, it's obviously much smaller numbers, and the real charm of river cruising is it's a moving vehicle which shows you the best of cities all the time. So you've always got a new vista. You've not just got days where you just look at the sea. So they're different levels, in fact, of service and as I say, in access as well.
So a totally different holiday, really.
They are.
Okay. And what do we mean by luxury when we're talking about river cruising?
Well, I think so many people boast about luxury these days. It's really difficult to define luxury because we all have our own views of luxury. I mean, if I was to ask family and friends about their luxury, it'd be having a lie-in on a Sunday morning with breakfast brought to them. With us, luxury is about more space. Space is always at a premium for people, and our river cruise ships are actually built the same size as everybody else's, but only carry 118 passengers or 130 on our larger ships. So that's sort of 46% less capacity than a lot of the others, but you've got the same footprint, so you've got that space to enjoy and relax with no stresses.
Oh, I like the no stresses, don't we all? And who would you say, because what I've noticed is that cruising in general has become more popular over the years. Has river cruising on the back of that become more popular? Definitely,
and we've seen a lot of growth over the last 6 or 7 years, and a lot of new ships coming onto the market, a lot of innovation as well. But river cruising is really now being aimed at everybody, and it's predominantly, it's always been viewed as an older person's holiday, but in fact you can be quite active on a river cruise. You can take bikes off, you're walking around the cities, some of these are cobbled medieval streets and things like that. So you do want to be reasonably able to get out and enjoy it if that's what you'd like to do. On the flip side, if you're not very able to travel well, then you can sit on the river cruise ship on the top deck and you can enjoy views all along the city.
Well, we've sort of started to break down there who river cruises are aimed at and river cruising. So, if you, for example, if you were freshly married, could it be romantic?
Definitely. I mean, some of those cities, you take Bruges, for example, it's known as Venice of the North, so they are charming. And I think on our river cruises in particular, because they're not heavily loaded passengers, that's a certain intimacy as well. But not only honeymooners, but also we operate ones for families as well. And again, you think about it, how nice is it to say, I've met families who've got grandparents and they take one grandchild a year on a holiday to spend and enjoy memories built together. And that's whether it be sort of things which they do proactively together, so they make strudel, for example, that sort of thing, or whether it actually just be seeing the classical palaces and galleries and things like that.
So what we're really saying here is that river cruising can be for everybody.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting to know. And have you noticed the age coming down of people going onto river cruises?
Yes, again, with the facilities and with the activities and with better education, because previously there was boats which were out there, 20 years ago, were really sort of just vessels to take you from A to B. Now they are stylish hotels with spas, with hairdressers, with great food dining experiences. But also, as I say, from a destination point of view, I think certainly in the UK market, we would like more English, we'd like more school children to learn better about their history locally, and obviously being able to take them into somewhere like Nuremberg and things like that, it's very relevant for education today as well. So
absolutely. And I guess river cruising, obviously the nature of it is that you have to have this certain size of vessel because it's got to fit down a river and into certain places, that you can probably get to some interesting places. So let's talk about exotic destinations.
Well, one of the ones I did last year, which I thought was lovely, it was a little place called Regensburg.
Never heard of it.
It's a tiny little place. It's on the Main, which is the river which connects the Rhine and the Danube. So it's the sort of engineered canal which connects the two.
Okay.
Because obviously different water levels, so you have to have the canals and the locks.
Oh, that's interesting. So do you do that?
So that's one of the journeys, yes. You go obviously through the locks, and it's several kilometres, but it's quite an interesting journey. And then you go to, as I say, you go to Regensburg, which is I thought it was a fascinating little place. When a lot of cruise lines talk about going to somewhere like Regensburg, they'll say, well, the most famous thing that it's known for is the little sausage house. There's a little tiny sausage house on the quay, and it floods obviously in the winter and things like that. But it does this amazing sausages and brilliant beer as well, I have to say, proper German beer. And one of the nice things is a lot of companies say, oh, well, you could go and visit that whilst you're there. What's really lovely when we do it as a visit is we'll go and do a city tour, and then we'll end up at this little sausage factory, this sausage house. There'll be a big queue of people waiting to get their sausages, and we'll be stood there, and they'll come out with trays of the sausages and beers and things for the whole group, because it's included as part of our experience, because we really want to show you all sides of a place, not just what the normal tourists see.
And do you think that river cruising has sort of opened up the globe a little bit for people? You maybe have that security of somebody else looking after you, rather than, oh, I need to book this and then I'll have to go and check what they say about this hotel and whatever and whatever. So if it has opened up the world, where would you say, you've mentioned one place, but just a few other really interesting places that we have to visit, really?
Well, I think obviously the Danube is probably the number one seller on most people's river cruises. It ticks most lists. You know, it's got Budapest, it's got Vienna as well. So you've got the palaces, you've got, you know, Renaissance period, you've got Strauss, Mozart, very musical destinations. And I suppose that's probably one of the highlight places to go. Again, sort of, it's depending on the river cruise company, depends on the access to these places you get, the people you'll meet, and the way you'll experience it. So we're very lucky that we really try and anticipate all your needs. We try and deliver all the things which would normally distract you, like thinking, oh, how much do I need to tip my guide? You know, where you spend that last 5 minutes where they're talking, you're going, what do you think is fair? I don't know, what do you think is fair? We take care of all of that as well. And even the little things like you're caught short and you want to go to the toilet or something like that, we'll even cover that for you, because we don't want you having to faff about. Because every time you have to put your hand in your pocket, it's a negative as far as we're concerned.
Absolutely. So let's get down to the logistics of how do we actually join our river cruise? Where do we get on?
Obviously, it depends on the itinerary. We can do it with a flight and then a transfer, or we could do it by rail as well, if you'd like to travel by rail, which is a great way, again, of exploring Europe. And we do it with a pre-stay sometimes as well. Some of our itineraries, it really makes sense to having a couple of extra nights. We've just launched a new itinerary for next year, which does the Main, which we mentioned in Rhine, and it actually does Jungfrau. So you spend 2 nights in Bern, and you go up to Jungfrau. So you're on a land tour, if you like, and then you join a river cruise for an extra 7 nights. So it's a really lovely combination, and it seems a shame not to experience both whilst you're there. And again, the tour directors are there for the whole experience, so you've got the continuity from the day you're met to the day you disembark your ship.
I've been to Jungfrau. It's a most amazing place. If anybody gets the opportunity to go, it's just, well, it's just like a picture box, you know, it's just beautiful. How about how long the cruises are? If, say, for example, I just fancy a taster, maybe this might be for me, it might not be for me. Can I go on a little short one?
We don't have any shorter than 7 nights. Our shortest is a 7-night sailing, but we do have quite a few different 7-night sailings. If you were doing it for your first time, obviously I would suggest something like the Rhine, or as I say, the Danube, because it's so popular. If you're into your gastronomy, I can strongly recommend the one in the south of France. We do a taste of France, and you literally try all the pastries, you get to cook. We also do one which takes in the Camargue as well.
Again, a place I've never heard of. You're showing my geography up now.
The Camargue in the south of France, it's a beautiful rural destination. It's famous for its horses. It's got white horses and cowboys, traditional cowboys. And we do a lunch there, and we have a horse demonstration and things, and it's just magical. It's with a family which have been known and friends of the family of Tauck forever. So.
Well, we will definitely be delving further into that after this break, so don't go anywhere, stay around. Now, if you're new to cruising, then this is our first time guide to cruise holidays, and it's well worth asking for because it's absolutely free of charge. Just give us a call, 03330 032 216. Now, calls will be charged at standard national rates. You can also ask for a copy of this through our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. And whilst you're asking for this, we'll take a quick break. See you shortly. Welcome back to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. It is lovely to have you with us. In today's programme, we're discussing luxury river cruising, and Kathryn Coles is still with me. Kathryn, we touched on food just before the break about how fabulous it is, and it is my second favourite subject, cocktails being my first. So let's talk about the type of food we can expect if we book a river cruise.
So river cruising food, we say, all right, the nicer end of the market, shall we say. So we offer a really flexible environment. Ours are all-inclusive, so you'll find that when we talk all-inclusive, I worked for an all-inclusive operator many years ago, and all-inclusive there was a buffet. It was very nice food, but it was a buffet. You had to go up, queue, get what you wanted. And likewise with the drinks, you know, it was perfectly serviceable, but it was sort of plastic goblets and you had to queue at the bar. Our food is actually more a la carte than that. So we have 2 restaurants formerly on the ship. We have one which is called a Compass Rose and one at the back which we call a Bistro or Arthur's. And they operate with really sort of 5-star dining. But what I really like about the food and the choice is that it's actually authentic to where you're sailing through. So both the food and wine are paired with where you're going in and out, because we buy local produce as we're sailing through and update it. So you get the real taste and feel of being in certain destinations. And the other thing I think was really nice about the food side of us, because we're very gastronomy focused, can you tell? And that is because, as I say, we also dine in palaces and stuff. And again, with us, that would be included in the experience. So we really want you to see and feel wherever you are in Europe.
Whilst I am hugely up for just tasting things and I like a taste of wherever I am in the world, there are certain people who might think, oh, I'm a bit panicked, I'm a bit fussy, or I have dietary requirements because of medical reasons. Should we be put off booking a river cruise if we are that person?
No, definitely not. I mean, we're, again, you know, talking about number of crew, we've got a very high crew ratio on board. And so if you express what your dietary requirements are, then of course we can adapt to that. And we, in fact, on the last river cruise I was on, had a couple who didn't want to get off at lunchtime. And so literally they set up a romantic table for 2 on the top deck for this couple and asked them what they would really, really like for their lunch. And the answer came back, oh, we'd really like steak and chips. And that's what they had. And it was the most perfect moment for them because everybody else was off the ship. We're enjoying this a la carte dining on the roof.
Oh, okay. So flexibility is there. You don't have to be worried about thinking, oh, well, I only really like plain food or whatever. Okay.
Not at all.
Let's talk about actually what river cruise boats are like. Are they called boats, ships, boats? What do we call them?
Boats.
I think let's call them boats. What do we know?
Exactly.
It's not like we're in the industry or anything. What are they actually? Because I'm sort of trying to picture them from when I walk around European cities and I see them. They always look very serene. They always look as if they're just sort of gliding along and very glass.
Yes,
so you can see.
absolutely.
Is that right?
It is. It is. All ships really of recent years have been built in a very similar way. So they're all the same length, they're all the same width, they're all 3-storey, because obviously they have to go through locks and under bridges and things like that. So they've also always got a top deck. How you use space internally does vary from ship to ship. Our ships are all consistent across the fleet because we would like you to enjoy all the fleet and not be disappointed if you get on one which doesn't live up to your expectations. So our ships have, you've got the 360-degree view on the roof deck with putting green, with a jacuzzi, with steamer chairs, with big wicker furniture. You've then got underneath that a lovely long bar. And again, the key thing with this is that if you've only got a smaller number of passengers, if you all want to go in the bar at the same time, it's not a problem. There's plenty of space for you all. And that has 180-degree panoramic view windows. And then, you walk through the reception and lobby area and you go down into the rooms. And the rooms are on 3 tiers. So you usually have the larger suites on the top deck with us, and then slightly smaller ones underneath, which again have panoramic windows. And then on the lower part of the ship, you have the slightly smaller cabins. They're still doubles, but they're slightly smaller. And of course, the view is slightly more compromised because you're at the waterline.
But I guess you've got the view when you're up top with a glass of wine. Who could grumble about that?
Exactly.
Let's talk about also times of year. Is there a time of year that you should river cruise and times of the year you go, oh, too cold, don't bother, don't do it?
We generally operate in the spring through the summer. Through some months it's great in cities because a lot of the local city population actually go on their beach holidays, so it can be a great way to access it without the crowds. We operate it all the way through till November time. And then in November we have a small break, and then we operate the fleet for a Christmas market as well. But then again it stops sort of January, February time.
Oh, okay. So now the other thing I've spotted with people who cruise is that they're very organised, aren't they? So I guess if you want to do the Christmas markets and things like that, you've got to be really well thought ahead. Let's talk about ports and fabulous ports that you've come into and things that you can do and see from there that we should put on our itinerary and do.
There are so many to choose from. I mean, a lot of the sailings, we do one which is London through to Monte Carlo, which is amazing. So you have a couple of days in London, then you go off to Paris, and then you actually do some sailing from there. And it's stunning because it has a combination of everything. You even meet Sir Winston Churchill's granddaughter, Celia Sandys. She talks about her grandfather. So it's a really unique moment. So we have access to that sort of thing. We then, as I say, we're very lucky in Vienna. We have a family friend of the owners who owns a palace. It's a chap called Prince Eduardo. And he's very charming, very charismatic. And he opens up his palace in Vienna just for Tauck guests. In fact, I was reading a comment card earlier which said, we loved the Vienna Palace. It was a great surprise what we had, but we don't want to say too much about it because it will ruin the surprise. But it was the most amazing, and we would have done the itinerary just for that alone. So that's the sort of thing that it's about.
So you can choose which ports, and I guess you can be as active or relaxed as you want about activities and excursions that you choose. Like you say, people might just say, I've seen here before, we're going to stay on board, we're going to have a nice lunch, or we might just have a look around the shops. It's up to you. You don't have to, as long as you're back at a certain time.
Yes, exactly. And they'll always coordinate that with you. No, it's one of the benefits really is that we include everything, so it's very simple. You go off in very small groups. Again, one of the things you'll never see us with is that iconic view of people with big sort of lollipop boards walking around and about 60 people following them. We're not that type of company. If we want you to see it personally, so we tend to walk around in very small, understated groups. There's nothing to identify you as a group. And our tour directors, we have 4 on a ship, which is unusual to have director level staff of 4, and 3 of them come off to experience the local destinations with you. And we work with some of the best guides in the countries as well, English speaking, and again they take sort of 10 to 15 people, so it's really small, low key, and you get the best access to places.
When we're cruising along, do we just cruise in the day or cruise at night? What happens?
It varies for depending on where you need to get to and when. Again, some of it will be cruising in the afternoon, which is really lovely. I've done that a few times where I've sat on the top deck and had a nice glass of chilled white wine and watched the scenery go by. But again, quite often it will also cruise at night, which means obviously you wake up. The benefit of that is, of course, you wake up in a new city in the morning. The sad part of that is you don't have the cruising experience of sailing down, you don't feel it because you're in the ship. So,
I wonder is there a definite divide between people who river cruise and people who ocean cruise, or
they intermingle a bit.
Oh, you are. If you're a cruiser, you're a cruiser. Yeah,
they've started to come onto river more. I think because of the destination and things like that. Because it's easy for them, and they're looking for something new. We started to see an uplift in ocean cruisers coming onto river cruising, and a lot of those traditionally are people who don't want to go quite so far afield anymore. I certainly know from my parents-in-law. They actually have stopped going so further. They were very adventurous in all of their lives. They're now sort of 70-something, and they like to do something really, really closer to home. So Europe's perfect for them. And of course, health-wise as well, you've got to think that some of these people are not as well as they used to be, and having something in Europe where they can get back easily and safely, and it's all under the European community, makes sense for them.
Well, something I've discovered as the years come on me is that actually I really do enjoy cities and Europe. Yeah. Perhaps when you were a bit younger, you was all sort of, I'm off to Vietnam to discover myself. Anyway, the other question I have is about Wi-Fi, because how else am I going to boast about where I am?
Yeah, Wi-Fi is included on all our ships. It's even included if you stay in some of our hotels pre or post. One of the hotels we have, which I think is lovely, is the Four Seasons Gresham Palace in Budapest. It's iconic, it's a stunning building. But even in places like that, we include the Wi-Fi for you, so you never have to pay extra to download your best photos.
Oh yeah, my selfie.
Yeah.
And let's just wrap up, if you don't mind, with, is river cruising for everybody?
It really is for everyone. It's just finding the right company, finding the right experience that you're happy with. For us, it's really about delivering something which is memorable, unique, and all-inclusive. As I say, all-inclusives are not all the same. Some you'll have limited access to things. With us, if we say we'll include it, we'll include it. We've always had this thing that we don't want to be the biggest in the world, we want to be the best at what we do. And as I say, for 90 years, that's been our mode of operation, if you like.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time and chatting to us about river cruising. Now, just a quick reminder about this before we head off. It's our first time guide to cruise holidays, and it's absolutely free of charge. Just give us a call. 03330 032 216. Now, calls will be charged at standard national rates. And don't forget, you can also ask for a copy through our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, where you can also get in touch with your questions for future programmes. So that's all we've got time for on today's edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. My huge thanks to Kathryn Coles, and thanks to you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.